recording this podcast is hurting my soul.
There's something in the air.
Hey everyone, and welcome to There's Something in the Air, a spoiler-filled Wynonna Earp podcast. This week we have part 2 of our podcast on conventions, and that's great. I'm sorry, it's been a really long day. Anyway,
I'm Michelle.
BP.
And Monica, and we are going to share some listener feedback with you. 2 people will make up all of the listener feedback for this episode. Our Anne of Green Gables expert, Heidi, sent in a really great, detailed, long email, and Kevin left us a voicemail.
Heidi will consist of 90% of the podcast.
Yes.
Because, oh my God, Heidi. Excellent email.
Excellent.
Excellent, detailed, very long. You could probably publish a book.
Yes.
The only reason she didn't actually come on for it is she is not ready yet for the showdown with me over being an expert on Anne of Green Gables.
That episode will happen, I promise you. Monica and I will be there to moderate the battle.
It's going to be epic.
And it's going to be the best.
It's going to be amazing. We're going to wear costumes. And nobody will see us, but like it's totally worth it.
I was going to say, on a podcast.
Yeah.
We'll take like random selfies to include with it.
Love it.
Today is Buffy Slays 21. I'm wearing a Buffy t-shirt. Like I'm dedicated to my craft here.
I am dedicated to this Heidi email because I'm wearing the shirt that she gave me because she didn't like.
Oh, the Purgatory softball one?
Yeah, it's really comfy.
And we're cutting that too.
She didn't like it. I think she ordered she ordered white, even though she doesn't really like white t-shirts. Like that was it.
Oh, I can't wear white t-shirts.
This white t-shirt, it's a baseball tee, which is like my go-to shirt. But the problem is that it's white and it's also really thin material. So in order to wear it, I have to wear a shirt underneath it because it'll like it shows. Like
Same.
if you're wearing a bra, shows your bra. Like it shows everything.
Me too.
So I like it because it's comfortable, but also if I go in public, I have to layer.
So she likes the actual shirt. It's just that she likes the design.
And this has been Fashion Advice Corner.
I was just going to say fashion corner, but yes, fashion advice corner. If you're wearing a very thin white shirt, be sure to wear something underneath it.
Layering. It's very important.
As told by, I mean, me personally, someone who has no fashion. So take that advice as you will.
I have a ton of fashion. I just don't apply the knowledge to myself.
So Heidi sent in an email.
I
and
just
it
wear what's
starts
comfy.
something like this. Hello, love the podcast, and I guess you 3 are all right. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, we feel the same about you.
We know you listen, so that's all that matters.
That is all that matters.
I'm going to compete with Bridget for the long email that will get me banned. Oh, honey, you have so many other reasons to get banned. I am an introvert, not great at small talk, and usually awkward, which is why, surprisingly, cons don't cause me a ton of anxiety. Or maybe they do and I don't recognize it necessarily as anxiety. Either way, I thought I'd at least share some con tips, etc. Okay, listen. I got mad about this at work this week. You cannot put etc. in a quote-unquote list of one thing. It's not, you can't do it.
That's false. You can't.
And the battle continues. When Heidi and BP finally face off, the usage of etc. will be a topic.
They will be discussing Anne of Green Gables, etc.
I also when you just read this, because I haven't looked at it yet, because I am the best podcaster of all time.
Naturally.
I feel so bad for Carly. We're doing a podcast at Klexicon, and I feel like I need to be better at preparing. Anyway, when I was listening to you talk about this, Heidi, your anxiety does not come across at all. Because when I went to Fan Expo, Heidi was the only person I knew, and Heidi was so like on point and like had her goal set that she just like texted me, was like, "Oh, I'm not where you're gonna be, so why don't you just meet this random person that I know who's wearing blue pants?" And then when I finally did meet her, she's like, "Oh, you found like, Angie in the blue pants." And like it was so chill. So any anxiety that you have, Heidi, is completely hidden. You seem so like completely chill, going with everything. Therefore, this email, completely irrelevant.
Etc.
Okay, sidebar. I would like to go back to etc. for a second. Monica, you think you could put that in a list, like a non-list?
Sure.
But then what does it mean?
Some con tips and other stuff.
I don't know. I feel like etc. always has to go with things where it's like, here are some examples of these things, and now you understand the context of what these things are about. Listen, I have someone who puts them in our notes at work, and I just want to stab her. So
that's fine. Stab who you want. Who am I to stand in your way?
I'm just like, it's just too funny.
This episode is brought to you by Stab Who You Want.
Stab who you want. Especially if they don't believe in the Oxford comma.
Oh my God. Okay. Well,
oh my God, the Oxford comma. Yes.
I will die on that hill.
I have died on that hill.
Etc.
I really like this conversation because, as I think at least Monica knows, maybe you too, BP. When I was in grade school, I went to a Montessori school, and Montessori schools are great, except the teacher I had was lazy. And so my mom was very concerned about me learning how to write words like in pen and like with grammar. And the teacher blew her off and was like, oh, in the future, they're not going to need to know that because computers will do it all for them. So to this day, I don't know how to use like grammar or any of that shit. So every time somebody gets into a debate, I'm just like, that sounds right. Yeah, definitely. Also why Monica edits everything I write.
I'm not saying it's a hard and fast rule. It's more of a pet peeve. Like I want to understand the all-encompassing nature of the etc.
I also do that when I write. I write test specifications. Real fun. But I was looking at ones that a coworker had previously done. And I'm like, but the etc. doesn't mean anything for the exact same reason.
Fair enough. So
it doesn't make sense to me either.
Okay, cool. I'll read it again. Either way, I'm not cutting any of that. Either way, I thought I'd at least share some con tips, Skip, that make them fun and enjoyable for me and my introvert self, as well as things I've learned along the way. My first con was Wizard World Columbus several years ago. I was a giant nerd, but had never conned. The only con I really knew about was SDCC. I don't know how I found out about Wizard World, but I did, and Sean Astin and Lou Ferrigno were going to be there. At the time, there wasn't much more that I loved than Lord of the Rings and the old school Incredible Hulk. At the time, I also did not have any nerdy friends, so I bought a ticket and went alone.
Oh, Heidi, you've grown so much since then.
It's true.
Your house is littered with pictures of everybody but those two people.
That's correct. When we were at Heidi's house, I was like, oh, I'm going to count the pictures of me. There were a lot.
Same.
It was pretty great.
There was also a lot of Eliza Taylor. So who wants to read the next part?
What Heidi learned from that first con, etc. Number one.
You can say that at the end of the list. There are 6 things.
Aside from the fact that the next part of the list is about more cons.
Oh my gosh. Okay, go.
I do what I want.
Yes, you do.
Number one, if you figure out parking and ticket pickup in advance, a lot of anxiety is relieved right away.
Truth.
Yes. The nice thing about ClexaCon specifically, and we are doing this like right before ClexaCon and Michelle and I are going, is that there's a badge pickup party the night before the con starts on Thursday night. It's nice to be able to pick up your badge the night before. That party was a lot of people in a very small space that you could smoke in.
Ew.
So that was not great.
It was last year was at a gay bar, but it wasn't a lesbian bar. It was a gay guy bar. So there were like a shit ton of lesbians and a bunch of like gay guys that walked in, and they looked so confused. It was actually really entertaining, to be honest. It was really cool to go the night before, and like I met new people there, and I hung out with my friends there. But like I don't know how long we were there, like an hour and a half. It was like, all right, let's go. It was more than that. It felt like more than that. But if you don't go to that, if you aren't able to, you can pick up your tickets the next day, and I think it was pretty painless.
for people that had to do that.
The other thing too is this didn't happen for Klexicon, but when I drove to Toronto on a whim, I went ahead and planned, because I drove to Toronto and I drove to the convention each day from the hotel because I don't like public transportation for reasons. So I went ahead and I think it was like Parking Panda is an app, and I bought my parking spots before I left my hotel so that I knew that I had somewhere to stay, just to park, just because it relieved a ton of anxiety of having to like drive around and find a spot. So if you are driving to a convention and like that's a worry of yours, there are apps and other things that you can do where you can find a spot in advance, reserve it, pay for it, and then know it's going to be there.
And when we went to Fan Expo, we kind of did the opposite. Like, we got an Airbnb that had its own parking, and it was within walking distance to their public transportation, and we took that in. It was also very close to like a bike share, and we considered doing that, but it was really hot out.
Oh my God, it was so
yeah. And so I decided to not show up and meet people for the first time. Disgusting.
I remember my like 3-block walk from where I parked to the convention center. I was just completely just disgusting by the time I got there.
It was so gross.
It was bad. Even at night.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. Number 2, bring plenty of cash. Not all vendors accept credit cards, and sometimes there are like Wi-Fi and connectivity issues. So it's a good idea to have cash kind of as a backup.
Also, I feel like most of the time, if you want to buy autographs at a convention, whether it be Klexicon or any, you need to pay cash for the autographs. I think pictures you can pay for with card usually, but it depends on who they go through.
It's also a good way to keep track of your spending. Like, I brought X amount of money and that's what I have to spend.
That's usually what I do too. I avoid using my card because it's really easy to really quickly spend like $1,000 at a con without even realizing it. Because it's like, oh, $25 for this thing, $50 for this thing. And it adds up really quickly, including, meals. If you want to buy prints, get autographs, take pictures, it adds up very, very quickly if you don't pre-order those things. So my advice, I think, would be Monica's, is bring a set amount of cash that you're willing to lose and just go with that.
That's always a tip for Vegas.
Yeah, that's true.
I was gonna say like in Vegas in general, if you're going to gamble, have a set amount of cash.
Number 3, bring a refillable water bottle and snacks. You will get dehydrated easily, and there isn't always time to grab lunch if you're not willing to miss panels, etc.
This was an actual issue last year.
Yes, that we could not bring food or water bottles, food or drink of any kind, into the con.
Klexicon.
At Klexicon. Yeah. Now that has changed this year, so that's very good.
Because that rule was complete and utter horseshit.
Well, sure. So when we went to Dragon Con, Michelle and Heidi and I stayed together, and we all brought snacks, and so we had a drawer. We had like a snack drawer that we all just dumped our stuff into, and it
was a legit like dresser drawer filled to the brim with snacks. It was amazing.
And I am planning on doing this, and Chris and Heidi as well, like to try and minimize how much we eat out in Vegas and to try and, use that to stretch time between meals.
Well, I mean, some of us weren't, able to set up room situations.
Come on. I tried so hard. Heidi's not staying with us.
This is just a me make Monica feel guilty moment.
I do feel really bad.
I have a place to say. Calm down.
The Tropicana only holds 4 people, and we're staying with Belinda and Angie, who doesn't listen to our podcast.
I feel like that's her last name.
I kind of want to make her a name tag.
Angie, who doesn't listen to our podcast, but she started listening.
Shh.
But she doesn't listen to our podcast. But no, I will give you credit because I called them and also did research online, and they legitimately will not like roll in a cot.
I did try, and it's so convenient staying there where the con is, as opposed to trying to find a different place with more room.
I can attest to that. It's cool if you can stay in the hotel that the convention is taking place in. It can get pricey if you aren't good at planning trips like I'm not. I mean, it can get pricey either way, but if you're really bad at planning trips, it can get like hella pricey really quickly. Last year for ClexaCon, I stayed like not on the strip, like 2 blocks behind the strip, and it was a little bit seedy, but also really awesome, but really seedy, like walking there. Which for some people is cool. Like I didn't have an issue with it. Other people might have an issue with it. So I think planning your hotel, how much you can afford versus how much risk you're willing to take in traveling there, and all of that is an important thing to consider.
If they had the con at the same hotel, I would have considered staying at that place that you did. It was inexpensive and like much nicer than our hotel.
Where I stayed was fucking amazing. It was so fucking cheap. I paid like no money. I had a king size bed to share with one person. So like you didn't even need to be within like 5 feet of them, because king size beds are absurdly huge. It had like a amazing shower, amazing like bathroom, amazing full kitchen, stove and like refrigerator and everything, an awesome living room, cable TV, a balcony, washer and dryer.
Michelle got all of the leftovers because she was the only one with a refrigerator.
Yeah, it was.
Why do I feel like there was a sign in the lobby that said like not a single murder in like 19 days, but it was just one they had to like change every day with like a rotation. So it might have gone to 0 while you were there.
I'm going to be honest. I never walked into the lobby of the hotel it was a quote unquote resort. I never walked into the lobby. So it might very well have said that.
Mm-hmm.
The person I was staying with like paid for it. I like paid her back. It was $100 for like 4 nights.
It was a really nice hotel.
Like you
That's definitely a murder hotel.
without a doubt.
So what?
I went to the gym there. The gym was really nice there. Like everything there was super nice.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I would not be surprised if a lot of people got killed there. But it was really, 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 really nice. It was also like on the like shady backside of like the strip. So like walking there, like I'm from like the city of Chicago. I'm used to walking down like shady ass streets at night where you could randomly get like mugged. And like I'm not anxious in most parts of Chicago, but walking from like the what hotel did you stay at? The Flamingo?
Mm-hmm.
From like the Flamingo to my place, it was like maybe 3 blocks total. I was so fucking anxious the entire time because that place is fucking seedy. But the hotel was great.
Yes. A couple nights she stayed on our couch.
We're not going to talk about that.
Oh, okay.
The fact that I'm really bad at planning trips and end up being homeless a lot.
No, the fact that I felt really bad for you. You like slept on a love seat. Like it was so tiny, and we put like 2 blankets down as a barrier because you never know what happens on a couch in Vegas.
I think you do though, which is really the problem.
I appreciate the but like the uncomfortableness of the couch itself wasn't a big deal because I can't afford to buy an actual couch for myself. So that's what I have. So if I fall asleep watching TV, I have to go to the chiropractor the next day because my back is fucked up from sleeping on a love seat.
So we're going to do a fundraiser.
Well, so actually,
to buy Michelle a couch.
Actually, so fun fact, I need to have shoulder surgery in April after ClexaCon. And my number one goal is to buy a couch that I can actually just like sleep on because I'm going to be high out of my mind, immobilized in like a sling type situation. I just want to lay on my couch, watch TV, and fall asleep.
Sounds like a dream.
So that's my goal, is to buy a couch
It's good to have goals.
That's literally all I want, is to be able to buy a couch.
So this conversation was about water bottles and snacks, as you can probably tell.
Etc. Number 4.
Etc.
Choose a backpack wisely. Why? Well, you'll have your water bottle and snacks in it and need plenty of places for any photo ops, autographs, merchandise, or artwork you purchase. Do you want your water bottle against your art? I find a backpack large enough for anything 8x10 and with pockets works best for me.
So what Heidi uses is a Legend of Zelda backpack that has the shield part as a front pocket. So she has a perfect spot to store her/my photographs.
Michelle gets through cons with a little help from her friends.
Have I
All of us pitching.
mentioned that I'm really bad at everything?
Number 5. Oh, you're going to talk about the backpack some more?
Well, we kind of talked about it in our last episode, but I was going to reiterate how it's important to like understand what you're going to need and what kind of bag would accommodate that. So if you want to bring like extra clothes and you want to bring and you intend on buying like pictures and autographs and like food and stuff, if you want to have those separated because you don't want them to get like a picture to get damaged, think about that in advance.
Number 5, bring a photo protector. And I believe she means like a plastic sleeve and not like a burly friend to keep people away from your photos that you've purchased.
Either or applies.
Correct. Heidi does work out, so she can probably protect her own photos.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. Number 6. I don't think that you'll find this meeting any Winona Earp people, but I'm going to read it anyway. Your celebrity idols might disappoint you. Lou Ferrigno was a dick. Whoa, Heidi. I was devastated because he was my childhood, and in one 30-second interaction, he stomped on that.
I feel like this is it's very specific, it's a very good point to make because like the celebrities that you idolize aren't like their online personas aren't their personas, just like your online persona isn't necessarily your persona. Like they get paid to interact with fans. So if like on Twitter they're like one person and in real life you find they're another, that's because those are two completely different things. Like Twitter is their career, them in person is their actual self.
Yeah, and they're not their character either. So you can find disappointment strictly in that, even if the person's like nice or whatever. If you're expecting them to be that character, you will be disappointed.
Let me give you an example. Not that I was at all disappointed by this, but like I met Amy Acker, who is Root on Person of Interest, as you may know, who is my like actual god. In person, Amy Acker is just like the most like, she's just like tiny and really nice and petite and like Root would just like shoot you in the face. So like they're vastly different people, both amazing, but completely different. So like you need to be able to, as a fan, accept that the actor is not the character. And that also goes for like online too. Like their Twitter account is not like their character's Twitter account. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there because I saw it this week and I was a little upset about it. Somebody got really pissed because I don't remember who it was, but they like tweeted something that was their own personal viewpoint. And then people got pissed because it wasn't how their character would react. And it's like, well, they're not the same as their character. Those are two different entities.
Does someone want to read the next section of Heidi's email?
Michelle does. It's her turn.
I just like throwing colorful commentary out. All right. All right. We're on line 17, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I went to 2 more Wizard Cons alone. The third because 3 members of the Hundi were going to be there, and there was no way I was not meeting Eliza Taylor. What did I learn from that con? ... Number 1, VIP passes are worth the extra money if the person you're wanting to see is extremely popular and the con has high attendance. Very true. Anything else? No? All right, cool. Number 2, when you're in a long line with folks you know like the same thing as you do, making friends is possible. It wasn't easy for me at all, but I made myself say hello, and you know what? It wasn't as scary as I imagined. We were all there to see Eliza Taylor. We had plenty to talk about because Eliza Taylor is amazing. Actually, I think Monica, you can attest to that. BP, you probably can too. Every single line that I've been in at a con for whether it be Winona Earp, Buffy, the Hundi, Winona Earp, Person of Interest, whatever it is, like you can make friends with the people that you're standing next to, even if you don't know them, because you have a similar interest, and it's really easy to just like mesh over that topic specifically. You might not be lifelong friends, but you can ease your anxiety by talking to people who have the same passion as you.
Man, even if all you're bonding over is like the people who are yelling about how you should be in line.
That's true. You can find something to bond over with most people, and if you don't, that's cool, but I feel like it's pretty easy to if you want to bond with somebody, even if, as BP said, it's just people screaming.
Also, tons of other people there are introverted nerds too. So like, it's not just you, you know, you're not the only one that feels uncomfortable. You're not the only one that has anxiety. You're surrounded by people who, you know, are just afraid to admit that that's what's happening.
I think that's probably the biggest thing to take away from, like, if you're going to a convention for like nerdy shit, like, let's be honest, most of us are introverts who who are way better online than they are in person. So like we're all awkward people. Just like accept that, embrace it, and like understand that when you're going in, and it takes away a lot of the stress.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Number 3. Am I on 3? That's what I'm on. Yes.
Yes.
You won't necessarily like everyone in line around you, and that's okay. One woman in particular was very nasty, and I didn't feel like I had to be her friend. No comment.
Wow, that's like Heidi saying that she wanted to stab someone.
I know Heidi is the most Hufflepuff of. I feel like Heather Hogan might out Hufflepuff her, but other than that, nobody else. So the fact that she said that is like, wow, that bitch.
It's interesting. I actually know who she's talking.
Wait, is she talking about me?
No, I mean not just about you.
Okay,
oh, I'm sorry. One woman, etc., was very nasty. You missed that the first time.
Did I not read that correctly?
Yeah, it's fine. It was implied. You just didn't see it. That's true. You know, chat up people, and if you get a bad vibe from them, just be done. There's no shame in that.
There is no pressure in, like, you don't need to talk to people you don't want to. You can just, like, if somebody starts talking to you and you don't like them, you can legitimately just say no thanks and walk away. Like, it's fine.
And if you talk to someone and you don't like them and you think, what's wrong with me? I don't like this person. You know, other people like this person. You know, what am I missing? Like, that's also okay. I can guarantee you, no matter who you're thinking about, that probably someone else feels that way. Myself included. Like, some people, I am positive, especially some people that I've met, probably think that I am just a raging bitch. And, you know, I can be. And that's fine. But it's okay not to like people. Just, you know, move on and keep looking for your particular humans.
One of the things I've had to learn is that, like, people aren't going to like you and you need to be okay with that. And in cons, that's especially true because most of the time people are holding you up to some sort of like online goal that they think you're going to be this person, but online none of us are who we really are, unless you are online who you are, in which case good for you. But you just need to be okay with the fact that people aren't going to like you, and you're not going to like the people you think you're going to like. Like, you need to go into cons kind of with like no expectations. Like, you think things are going to be one way, but they might not be. And some people that everybody loves, you might think is a giant raging bitch, and that's fine. You just don't need to engage.
Correct. Do you not feel any pressure to talk to anyone? Like, just do your thing. Self-preservation is very important at these things. Do what you need to do.
Number 1, take care of yourself, is basically the moral of all of these points, is make sure that you're okay.
Correct. Because if you're there and you're miserable, what does it even matter? Like, why bother going? Like, go and have a good time. You're paying all this money. You're taking all this time out of your schedule. Like, make it work for you.
Do whatever it is that makes you happy. Because, yeah, like Monica said, you paid a ton of money to do this, to come to this place, to fly wherever it is, pay for the hotel, go to the convention. Like, it adds up. So do whatever it is that you need to do to enjoy yourself because you just invested a lot of money.
And if that means skip a panel because you need quiet time, skip the fucking panel. Watch it online later.
Unless it's the person of interest panel, in which case you should be there.
Yeah, I skipped the person of interest panel last year.
Oh, let's not talk about it.
Michelle was very disappointed in me.
Number 5 or 4. What the fuck are we on?
You're on 4. Thank God one of us is paying attention.
Somebody keeps moving their own cursor and it's confusing me. Number 4. No matter how hard I try, I am a giant awkward nerd around famous people I really, really like, and that's okay. This is spoken in Heidi's voice, but the I can also apply to me.
Also me. Not BP. She's cool around everybody.
Yeah, no, I don't. I'm good.
Little known fact, I can't talk around Natasha Negavanlis, apparently.
What's super fun is when she also can't see her when there's not a sign saying Natasha Negavanlis. Because, for instance, if she's walking on the strip with a group of, I don't know, like 6, 7 other people.
Fuck off.
and Natasha and Elise walk by you. Michelle doesn't see them.
The same fucking thing happened in New York Comic Con prior to that. I was with like Valerie, Nick, Jenna. And like I was just walking like merrily talking to somebody, and then like Valerie turns around, she's like, "Oh my god, was that Natasha? I know her!" And I just melted into a puddle of death.
They walked by us, and I like Heidi was looking at me, and I was looking the other, so I saw them, and I was like, "Wait a minute, was that?"
Do we need to really rehash all of these gruesome details of my failures?
You're right, Michelle. We don't. I'll retweet that blog post that I wrote about it later, so everybody can just read them on there.
Exactly, it's already been published online. I don't need to verbally relive my trauma. As
we'll link that to our website. It'll be great.
It's already linked there. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, good. Maybe we'll move it to the top.
So moral of the story is, my interaction with Natasha Negavanlis are embarrassing at best. I did better with Amy Acker. How is that possible?
Well, Amy Acker just looks like someone you'd find at a grocery store.
Oh, fuck off. So, number 5. Your celebrity idols might be more amazing than you imagined.
That is correct.
Like that time that I asked Sarah Shahi for a hug, and she told the Klexicon person to fuck off and then gave me a hug.
That's a sweet story.
I mean, she didn't say fuck off, but she told them to look the other way and pretend nothing was happening. So,
I was super nervous to meet Emily Andress. Like, that was the one person I was really nervous to meet, and just couldn't have been nicer. She was just like, I couldn't have imagined how well that went. And every time I've met her after that, she's been super, super nice. Just really blew my expectations out of the water. And everyone I've met involved with this show, that applies to. But since I was most nervous to meet her, that really sticks out to me.
I'm gonna leave that alone.
Why? That was a nice thing.
No, it's nice. I was gonna taint it with snark. I was just gonna let you have that moment.
Well, now I want to hear it.
I mean, I was just gonna make fun of the fact that you took the first time you met her, you took a very shaky photo, and then I believe you refused to break into the room that she was in.
Nobody asked me to. I wasn't friends with you guys then.
I mean, nobody asked me to break into the room either.
I didn't even know you were doing it.
Oh, Hufflepuffs.
Not a Hufflepuff.
Etc.
Anyway, number 6.
Photo ops are a lot of fun when you do something fun. I did get a friend to come to one day of a con just for me, just for one. Wait, hold on. Come to a con for one day with me, just for one photo op. Okay, that's how that works.
Mm-hmm.
Etc.
Mm-hmm.
Photo ops are awesome. You can see a lot of the ones that Monica and I and company have done. Also, BP and I have done that one with the Hundy. We'll post them on our Twitter.
They were a good time.
Sometimes you look like a really angry blade of grass. Sometimes you look like an amazing fangirl. Sometimes you just look like a dumpster fire. And they're all amazing.
Sometimes you try and make something happen, and then Elise jumps on the floor and does like the Jeff Goldblum, and it's like the best fucking picture. And I had notifications go off for that fucking tweet for like a month.
To this day. I got one today. Also, sometimes your friends purchase a photo op with somebody that you don't want a photo op with because you're terrified of, because of a horrible autograph experience a few months prior. And they don't tell you what it is. And then when you do find out, said person just throws themselves on you for like a very long time while Elise Bauman tries to figure out what to do and then throws herself on the floor.
You're welcome.
I mean, it was great. It was also extremely awkward, but I'm not complaining.
It was amazing. You don't even know.
It was a lot.
It was great. You're a lot.
Not disagreeing.
BP, do you want to take the next section, or would you rather I do it?
No, I got it.
BP's like, let me be a part of this podcast, you assholes.
Fair.
Okay, my next cons all came post Winona Earp and Twitter fandom. They were such different experiences than those lonely wizard cons. Fan Expo in Toronto followed SDCC and was only the second con the cast of Winona Earp had attended. 2 of my favorite Twitter friends lived in Toronto, and it was the perfect opportunity to go and con with them because they were all about Carmilla. It was an experience like no other. I can't do it justice with words. I spent 2 days meeting cream puffs, and Erpers. Erpers. Is there an F in that? No. Erpers. She didn't type an F. I'm putting one now. Almost everyone was genuine. Almost everyone was genuine, welcoming, and thrilled to be there meeting other fans. The way to find that out was to put yourself out there and introduce yourself to people. Again, you're all here for the same shows, instant commonality. Those favorite Twitter friends are not just friends. What?
She didn't mean to include the comma.
They're not just friends, they're fucking amazing friends.
Back to the Oxford comma, being the only one that matters. Okay. So, what I learned from Fan Expo. 1, not all cons are well organized. So true.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, let me tell you. Fan Expo was a fucking shit show. It was so bad that the poor lady who had to try and wrangle the poor organization was hated on / loved by me. We got a selfie.
They did get a selfie. We may or may not refer to her in the group chat as Michelle's girlfriend.
Lies.
Oh, sorry, you're right. That's the one without you that we call her that. My fault.
I was going to say that's not what you call her. She's con Heda.
Sometimes we call her your girlfriend.
When I'm not.
Sometimes I make up stories about you guys and overlay them on that selfie and send them to you.
So back to this podcast and not Monica's odd fantasies about my life. Not all cons are well organized.
All right, joking means transition. 2, meeting Twitter friends in real life is so worth the risk.
Sometimes.
I want to go back to number 1 because we actually had a point aside from our banter.
Okay.
Banter. Okay.
Banter me insulting Monica. Like Fan Expo Toronto was not well organized at all. It did not benefit like the wine and Earp wasn't a thing, so they didn't take it seriously, and so it ended up being a very hostile situation between fans who camped out for like 10 hours and then people who just snuck in to like ideal locations and cut the line. So it wasn't a great experience. Some people were very upset and wanted to hit other people.
They wanted to hit you or you wanted to hit people?
Oh, I wanted to just Hulk out because I had waited. I drove all the way from Iowa for this. I was very angry. And then like they didn't know what to do, so they like improvised and they did a lottery for who gets autographs and all that, and it was a very bad experience, or like con wise. But the fandom itself wasn't like it. Like meeting fandom people was great. It's like cons aren't going to be well organized, and you need to accept that might happen. But the people that you meet at the cons is going to be great.
So I do want to say, and you guys, anybody can hate me as much as they want, but it's true. While the Earper community is possibly kinder and has more maybe empathy than some others, not every Earper is great. There are some who super suck, just like there are in every fandom. And they don't go in with those blinders on thinking that everybody has to be, you know, part of the group in that sense of like, if they suck, they suck. Like, just, you know, write them off and don't worry about it.
And everybody's different. Different personalities don't mesh. You're not going to get along with everyone, and everyone's not going to get along with you. And even if it's somebody that maybe your friends really are into, but you're like, yeah, I don't get it. Like, they were super rude to me. That's okay. Like, they're just not your jam, and that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with you. And, you know, like I said earlier, there's probably somebody else who agrees with you. Not everyone is super best friends all the time.
That's you're not gonna like everybody, and everybody's not gonna like you. And this goes for cons, and this goes for just like life in general. Like, don't take it personally if somebody doesn't like you, because it probably doesn't have that much to do with you. And if you don't like somebody and everybody else does, don't feel bad, because you're different people. Like, you're your own person. You like what you like. You don't like what you don't like. And it's fine. You don't need to like what everybody else likes. It seems like a simple concept, but like, I've fallen into that trap. I think everybody has at some point, where everybody loves this one person and you're just like, I don't get it, but I'm going to pretend to like them and I'm going to really try. It's fine if you don't have this one thing that all of your friends do. Like, you are an individual, you're a person. You don't need to fit into a mold.
It's also possible that it's also possible that they're seeing a different person than you are. Maybe you're getting a different experience.
Very true. I think another thing too is like, everybody shows a different part of themselves to different people. This might be getting way too deep for a fucking con panel or podcast, but like, we all show different parts of ourselves to different people depending on how comfortable we are. So maybe like you're seeing a part of somebody that nobody, like the other people, aren't seeing for who knows what reasons, or you're not reacting to that part of a person that's other people are. So there's a million different variables in play. Like, if you just aren't connecting with somebody, or you find them offensive, or whatever it is, or you love them, it's because you personally are looking into something that they're projecting. And like, if somebody else doesn't get it or you don't get it, it's fine. We're all different people. We all have different things that we connect to and relate to. So don't feel bad if you don't like somebody everybody else does like, and if you like somebody that nobody else does like, it's fine too.
Ultimately, it just basically boils down to, don't be a dick. You don't have to like everybody, but you can be civil and, be an adult.
Absolutely.
And I think we just basically covered 3, which is not all people you follow on Twitter will be as awesome in real life as they might be on Twitter, and that's okay. Set your expectations appropriately.
Yeah, we pretty much covered that.
Yeah. 4, some celebrity idols will make all other celebrity idols pale in comparison.
Same thing applies.
Yeah. You like them better, someone else likes somebody else better, great.
It's basically a universal concept. Like, certain things about a person draw you to them or repel you away from them, and we all put off various things, and people will either react or not like it. We're all just a big conundrum. Either you relate or you don't relate, and that's fine.
It's in the same vein of the fact that, like, people watch the show for different reasons. Like, you're getting different things out of it. So, all good. Number 5, go to meetups for fandoms you're a part of. The unexpected just might happen. She makes that sound like a Cinderella story or something.
So if you go to a fandom meetup, you'll find some of your people.
That's true. But also sometimes, like, the cast will come. Not all the time, but sometimes. That's happened at a couple of the meetups that we've gone to.
Don't expect that to happen.
No, don't.
I think the reason that has happened to us a few times has been because our little shit show was a little shit show. As I feel like as shows become more popular, as we want them to become, the more guarded the folks on the show have to become, because more status means more attention into your personal life. So you have to kind of like guard yourself from that. Also, more insane fans who think they're actually in love with people.
Or think that they're their characters.
Yes.
And are upset when, for instance, a woman is playing a queer character and then marries a man in real life.
Yes, I'm not talking at all from experience in fandom. Nothing comes to mind. But basically, if you're in a very young fandom where a show is just trying to get its roots, like when we went to Fan Expo, that was the second con that they had gone to. So we got to talk to them, meet them. Don't expect that that's going to happen. It might happen, but depending on the profile of the fandom that or the show or fandom or whatever it is that you're following, it might not happen just because of the safety of said people.
Correct.
So don't expect it, but don't unexpect it.
But even if it doesn't happen, meetups are super fun. Like, there's all these people in the same area to nerd out over shit that you like.
Oh, I highly recommend meetups in general. Even if you're not okay in large groups, like, you could hang out on the outskirts of a hangout and meet, like, low key meet people, and it'll benefit you, I think.
I agree.
Or maybe like me, it happens on day 3 at night. You're totally burnt out. You can't take any more, and you leave because there are too many people in one crowd space, and that's okay too.
I was waiting for you to input. Because I was like, BP has another perspective.
Correct.
I mean, it's great, but it's just kind of what we've gone back to before. If you need to tap out, tap out.
I think overall the theme of all of our, like, you can boil down all of this shit that we're talking about into two things. Do what's best for yourself, first off. And then if you're able to, put yourself out there as much as possible to meet whatever your priority is. If you want to meet more fans, if you want to meet like the people on whatever your fandom is about, like, make sure you're okay, number one. And then two, put yourself out there to meet whoever it is your number one thing to meet.
Agreed. Which is part of number 6. Be brave and ask people to dinner. You just might form lifelong friendships.
I don't even remember which one of you asked me to go to dinner. I'm very happy. Like, I'm very happy that you did.
Sure as shit wasn't me.
Yeah.
No offense. I was just happy to be along for the ride. It was probably Angie or Belinda.
All right. Well, never mind on that nice story. Every con I have attended after Fan Expo was Winona Earp driven. The friends I made at Fan Expo were part of the planning, the photo ops, and the fun.
Ugh.
If you put yourself out there, you'll find your people. From that, many other opportunities will arise. Just like in life, though, you won't like everyone, and not everyone will like you. That is okay. And if you keep putting yourself out there, you'll find your tribe and or add more to your old one. Being together in person is different than Twitter interactions. You're in line, you're sitting next to someone at a panel, you have more time to actually talk and get to know someone.
Nah.
Final thoughts. Before rooming together, find out who snores. I would recommend, if you are rooming with people you don't normally hang out with or don't normally sleep next to on a regular basis, bring earplugs.
Also, maybe provide a very detailed questionnaire prior to agreement.
Yes, that's probably the best call.
We'll post one on our website.
That will be
Yes.
forthcoming.
If you yourself snore and you know that, and you're rooming with people you don't normally sleep with, tell them.
If you're going to room with somebody that you don't know in person, you need to be open about whatever sleeping habits. If you like fucking toss and turn and kick people, the people you room with need to know. If you snore like a jet engine is taking off, the people you're rooming with need to know. Like, you just need to be open about it, because some people won't give a shit, other people will. You need to find what works, because you don't want to be rooming with someone and then have them want to fling you into the sun midway through your stay at whatever hotel during your convention.
Some of the people that I am staying with at Klexicon, one of them was like up front from the beginning. She's like, I snore. And I was like, that's fine, so do I. Although, according to Heidi's daily snoring report, you snored more than I do, Michelle.
Like a puppy. Was that the response? Like I snored like a puppy or a kitten or something?
Yes, she did call you a puppy, and I don't remember why.
All right, so the person that I'm staying with for Klexicon is the person that I stayed with at New York Comic Con. And aside from smacking me when Gal Gadot and Kate McKinnon were making out on SNL, there were no issues. I don't know if Nick listens to our podcast, but I know that she feels real bad about smacking me awake for that. I hold no regrets. It was like, if you're gonna smack me awake for anything, Gal Gadot and Kate McKinnon kissing is top of the list.
Definitely true. Definitely true.
But she didn't complain about me snoring. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that it wasn't bad. But Heidi also said that I sound like a puppy.
I forget what she said. It was hilarious.
Puppy or kitten or something.
It was a puppy doing something like chasing rabbits. Like it was, I forget. It was like
it was something entirely embarrassing about myself.
Right. That it was like, oh,
I don't remember what thing it was, because I remember being extremely embarrassed and wanting to like hide under the bed, but I don't remember specifically what it was. Heidi, let us know so that I can relive that trauma.
Yeah, that's fun. Number 2, do something crazy, like ask a question at a panel, terrifying and gratifying at the same time.
Also extremely entertaining to watch.
Heidi and I do not like talking in front of people, and we both got up to ask a question at Dragon Con. Doc Stash was behind me. That was one of the first times that we hung out, and she was like rubbing my shoulders and being like super supportive friend. That's one of the first times that we bonded, which was super cool. So like the question part was nice and everything, but like the friendship that I formed in that line was awesome.
If you're in a panel where the people who are, if it's not a cast panel, if you're in a panel about a show that you're very passionate about, and the people who are running the panel don't have a fucking clue about what they're talking about, feel free to go ahead and take over the panel. It's your right as a fandom person who knows more than the panelists to go ahead and just like take that shit over and turn the panel into something that isn't shitty.
That's correct.
Nay, your duty.
Yes.
Yes, it is your duty.
Do it for your people.
Yes, do it for your people. Do it for Root. Oh, wait, hold on. Shit, that was really specific.
Number 3, know your limits. Take a time out if needed. I can't agree with that enough.
If, like, I think it was in our previous podcast that I said, if there is a, like, I know New York Comic Con has a, like, silent room. If there's a place where you can go and it's silent and you can just, like, decompress, just, like, hang out, gather your shit, do so. If the con doesn't offer that, if you need it, find a spot where you can do that yourself. If you have to walk 2 blocks to go to a cafe that's quiet, do it. Your mental health is way more important than any con shit.
Plan ahead and look at the schedule. Find times to eat and step away. Was it you who did the Google spreadsheet last year, Michelle, and shared it with everybody?
Yeah, I'll be doing that again as soon as they release it.
Okay. That was very helpful. I had had printed it out and was looking at it on the plane.
So what I have done and will do is I will create a Google spreadsheet that outlines every single what did I do last year? It was like times versus room versus day.
Yeah, I think so.
So it was every single day, the time, and every single convention room. So you could say like, okay, Monday, what room, what time, and like look everything else up. And I shared it online. I'll probably do that again because I'm an OCD jerk. And I'll go ahead and make sure that we post that on our website and share it on Twitter. So if you want to use that as a template to schedule your ClexaCon experience, we're specifically focusing on ClexaCon, but any con I go to, I do the same thing. We'll post that.
It's very helpful. Number 5, if you're nervous, find out who is going to that con that you might follow on social media. Reach out and make plans to meet. I know that there are, I don't know what they are offhand, but I know ClexaCon has like message boards for people who are going to the con alone, specifically, and people who are going in general. Like if you want to find people to meet up with, like you can, there are ways to do that out there. You just have to look a little bit. Number 6, which is something I always want to do and never do, get enough sleep.
I cannot speak to this point.
It's especially with the time difference in Vegas, like it's really hard. It's just really hard to stay up as late as you want and wake up, like get a good night's sleep. There's just so much to do. And these are friends that you get to see once, twice, if you're lucky 3 times a year. Like you want to make the most of your time with them. And it's really hard to pass up time. Like, oh, well, screw it. I'll sleep when I get home. You know?
I kind of have to disagree with Heidi's goal here. Get enough sleep. Okay, for one, I don't sleep a lot, period, because of various reasons. But when I'm on when I'm going to a con, like I live in an isolated area that doesn't have a lot of people who I see eye to eye with on a lot of things that matter to me. So when I go to conventions and whatnot, it's like my time to be with, like, quote unquote, my people. I hate myself for saying that. So like I go to conventions, like I go to ClexaCon, I go to whatever, and it's because I'm going to hang, like when I define it to like the people I work with, I'm going on vacation with my friends. Like I'm going to a convention to hang out with the people who understand me on a level that most people don't. So if, like, personally, if I don't have to sleep for 4 days and like I get my fill of my friends or the people that get me for 4 days, that is okay to me because it benefits me. So you need to like find a level of what is positive to you without being detrimental to you. So like I'll stay awake for like 4 straight days to hang out with my people so that for the next 7 months when I'm sitting here in Iowa and not being able to gush about avalanche, like I'll be okay with it. If you live in a place where you can like talk to people who get that, it might not be as important for you and you can be like, all right, well, it's 6 o'clock, I'm going to bed. Hi, see you tomorrow. So it basically depends on who you are, what your situation is, and what your priorities are. So you need to get enough sleep, but it needs to be enough sleep based on what your priorities are. If that makes sense.
Try and make it at least 4 hours. 6 is even better, depending on who you are and your sleep habits.
Yeah, to provide something completely opposite of that. I mean, I understand what you're saying, and like in theory, that would be a great way to approach it. But if I don't get some degree of sleep, the people who I'm trying to spend time with are not going to like me. So you have to balance that.
That's the other point too. You need to know yourself on top of everything else. If you know that you need I need a minimum of 6 hours of sleep, you need to plan for that and make sure that you can achieve that. Like I personally am not a great metric to go by because I can run off no sleep. So know yourself and you have to come up with a balance.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Get enough sleep, whatever that means to you.
And know that you're never going to get truly enough, but
like in your entire life ever.
Plan for what you think you need. Maybe add a buffer because you're not going to hit your goal. And then react accordingly. I'm not a great example because I can actually run off no sleep.
I cannot. But I ran off far less than usual at ClexaCon last year and DragonCon. I did not sleep well at DragonCon.
I think DragonCon was actually okay. For me, it was a lot of sleep.
Yeah. Fair. Meanwhile, we probably got the same amount. And I'm like, oh, it was awful. And you're like, oh, it was amazing. And Heidi just ends with thanks for reading and listening. And if any of this helped anyone, excellent. I am by no means an expert and learn more things each con I attend. Recently, Heidi decided to go back to ClexaCon this year, which...
to be the bane of my existence with the goddamn hot dog challenge.
Anyway, which Michelle and I are very excited about. I'm going to speak for Michelle here, despite what she just said. Our little group of friends has only hung out after Fan Expo, has only hung out together once since then. So this will be the second time. I'm pretty excited. We have one more planned that will unfortunately probably be without Michelle. But
sorry, guys, I need shoulder surgery.
I mean, I guess that's fair. It's going to be a good time.
Legitimately, the doctor, when I was talking to them, was like, you cannot travel for like 6 months after this happens. And I was like, okay.
You can drive though, right?
Well, it's like a stringent thing where you I need to go to physical therapy 3 to 4 times a week.
All right. I guess that's fine.
Because that was my thing. Because I was like, oh, can I fly? And they're like, you can fly, but you need to be at therapy like very strictly. And with my flying thing where I'm like,
right.
Standby hit or miss. If I miss a therapy session, apparently it would be a very big deal.
Right.
Which I'm inclined to agree with them considering they're going to cut open my arm.
I'm just happy that they're going to help you. But that is another story for another time. We also...
look out for a Minisode about my shoulder.
We also had a voicemail from Kevin, which we will play right now.
Hey everyone, it's Kevin Batchelder. Many of you know I'm very passionate about conventions, so I had to share some thoughts, and I'll try to be as brief as I can. A good portion of you likely know that I am a big fan of DragonCon. It's a convention I've attended every year since 2005. Now, this is a large convention with 80,000 attendees and events taking place in 5 hotels that are in a small concentrated area in downtown Atlanta. The last few years, I've been leading the DragonCon newbie events that take place at the convention. We put on things like walking tours and Q&A panels for the newbies to be able to ask questions. So myself and several other regular attendees are there as a resource. So I get to hear a lot of the same things over and over, be they questions or concerns. And I just want to share a couple of them here because I think they apply no matter what type of convention it might be on the fan convention side, meaning large or small, whether it's a DragonCon or a Comic-Con or even ClexaCon or the ERP-specific cons here. So 2 different things I want to make sure to get across that I think might help many of you. First off, almost all of us, and I'm definitely in this group, are nervous the very first time we go to a fan convention. You really don't know what it's going to be like. So realize that while some people might hide it well, almost everyone is going to be like you in that sense. And even if they're someone who's been to many of the cons, that doesn't mean they might not be the first time they've gone to this specific con, so they're a little nervous about it. Maybe they hide it well, who knows? But don't feel like you're going to stick out because you're a newbie. That's what some people will often tell us. It's, that's one of the reasons they might not speak up or ask questions or maybe get as involved in a lot of what's going on because they're afraid as the new person, they're not allowed to or they'll be looked on differently. Blow that out of the water. Don't even think about that. That's a way I think you'll be able to get a lot more out of the convention. The other big thing that many people come back and tell me at the end of their first convention or later on at their second year, is that they didn't take into account that while for many of us, like we go to a social event somewhere for our work or our job or our community, whatever, we're the quiet ones who barely talk to anyone. A lot of us tend to be like that when it comes to fandom. And I certainly am. I go to one of my wife's events. I'm not going to say 10 words because I don't know who I know or what's going on. However, at a fan convention, realize that even if you don't know the people you're with at an event, almost all of them share the same passions that you do. That's why they ponied up the money to attend, cut off the time in their life to go to this. Odds are they're very similar to you, and many of them are going to be just as quiet as you are until things get rolling. So what I tell some folks to do, what worked for me a little bit, because I am a quiet guy by nature, is when I go to the convention, try to kind of hang my personality at the door going in. Doesn't mean I need to change and become the most gregarious, outgoing person in the world, but realize that you'll get a lot more out of it if you're willing to be a little more open than you might normally be in, air quotes, the real world. It's okay to kind of hang around some folks that are talking to over here and maybe jump into a conversation more than you might do in your real life. If you go in to attend a certain panel that's taking place, realize that when you sit down, that person next to you is there because they share the same passion as you or they wouldn't be there for that topic. So that might make it a lot more comfortable and maybe start up a conversation. Realize, too, that at conventions, unlike maybe if you're more on the dating circuit side of things, it's not like you're trying to set up something that goes much beyond the convention. You're looking to talk to someone to have some fun there. Sometimes these conversations can lead to making a friend. Sometimes they don't do more than just have a 2-minute conversation. But realize it's not like you're trying to get to an end game with that. You're just trying to be yourself and talk to someone else who's there. So if you're able to look at things that way and keep those 2 points in mind, I find that many other folks tell me when they do that, they get a lot more out of the convention, whatever it might be. So if you can, keep those in mind and realize you're not alone. You're not unusual in that sense. It's just the way we all go into these conventions. Try to relax as much as you can, and you'll get a lot more out of it, and it'll make you happier about investing the time and money that it takes to attend one of these. All right, folks, appreciate the hard work on the podcast. I hope you all take care.
Thank you for that, Kevin. You always have wonderful things to say, and we're always excited when you call or write in to us. We really appreciate it.
And we appreciate you so much for just all the Twitter support. You guys, you give us so many shout outs and are just very supportive of everything we do. You've always answered tons of questions and just you're a real gem.
Yeah, you've always been there for any questions that we have or any information that we need. You've always been there to support it. Like you're just a fandom gem.
And not just us, like every Winona Earp podcast out there, you're always promoting, which is really cool. And not everyone in your position would do that. And so we really appreciate that. One of the best conversations I had at ClexaCon last year, this gay lady nerd convention that I went to hang out with my people, was with Kevin about Buffy. It was amazing. Still didn't convince Heidi to watch it, but maybe next time.
There's always time.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday.
I tried so hard not to say it, but God damn it, you guys went for it.
Does anyone else have any final thoughts?
Enjoy your con experience and make it your own.
And that means different things to everyone. And that's okay.
Yeah. Just enjoy yourself because you're paying the money, you're taking the time off, you're making the trip. Just do whatever it is that you need to do to enjoy yourself.
Don't be a dick.
Oh, yeah. Also, don't be an asshole.
Yes. That's the golden rule of fandom.
Or what is it? Don't be a dick at 3/4.
I do love fractions. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. We really hope that you found this podcast helpful, or at least entertaining. Yeah, I'll go.
Probably entertaining.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fair. You can find us on Twitter at ErpsPlanePod. You can email us if you want to at somethinginair@gmail.com. You can rate and review us on iTunes, and you can rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes and Google Play. Nope. Not rate and review. You can just subscribe to us on Google Play. Sorry.
So you can rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes, and we highly recommend that. You can just subscribe to us on Google Play or any podcast app that you have. If you want to find us on our website, it's erpsplanepod.com. If you wanted to look at our shop, it's erpsplanepod.com/shop. You can find our Patreon on that page too. There's a big old button. We have various rewards. And if you want any of our contact information for the podcast in general, you can find it on the contact page of the website.
You can find me on Twitter at lesbianser.
BP at Beep33TV, or Erp Your Fandom for Winona Earp stuff.
And you can find me, Michelle, at MicNick1291, MICNIC1291.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Hope you have a good day. And remember, it may be a shit show, but it's our shit show.
Definitely a shit show.
Yeah. Nailed it!